Welcome to Snooze Worthy, a podcast by Parenting Practice of Colorado, your window into the world of pediatric sleep, where we explore the science behind sweet dreams, effective sleep teaching techniques, and all the intriguing nuances of your child's slumber. I'm your host, Lindsey Birchfield.
And I'm Paige Legault. Together, we're here to guide you through the labyrinth of parenting, offering insights, strategies, and science-backed advice to make parenting during those early childhood years not just manageable, but truly memorable.
As pediatric sleep specialists, we've seen the transformational power of sleep in countless families.
And because parenting is a journey, we won't stop at sleep. We'll provide you with valuable parenting tips for every aspect of early childhood, from managing tantrums to fostering creativity and hitting those all-important milestones.
So whether you're a seasoned parent in need of a sleep overhaul or a new parent preparing for the joys and challenges of early childhood, Snooze Worthy is your trusted resource. Join us as we unravel the science of sleep, share practical advice, and make parenting truly snooze-worthy. Hey, and welcome back to Snooze Worthy. I'm Lindsey Birchfield, and I'm here with my co-host, Paige. And we've spent the past 3 episodes breaking down the science of sleep. So we've talked about circadian rhythms, growing and learning, and then nutrition. And today we're going to tie it all together into simple steps you can take right away.
Absolutely, because here's the truth. You don't need a degree in neuroscience to help your child sleep better. You just need to understand the basics and know how to apply them to your kiddo.
Yeah, and our circadian rhythm, remember, that's the body's natural body clock. We support it with consistent routines, light in the morning and darkness at night.
Yep, and then sleep growth. That is when the child releases growth hormones, they consolidate memories and regulate emotions. Missing sleep means missing those benefits.
And lastly, with nutrition. What and when our kids eat can either support or sabotage good sleep. Balanced meals, less sugar, and a thoughtful bedtime snack can go a really long way.
Yep. So how can we make all of this practical for you to take and apply in your own home? I want you to think as rhythm, routine, and nourishment as your benchmarkers. So rhythm is predictable sleep-wake cycles. Try to anchor your wake-up time and your bedtime within 15 minutes of each day, so that way you can try to set that circadian rhythm. Second, your routine. Consistency, cues, and routine are huge for this age range. So you want to make sure that the bath, the book, the bed, the rhythms stay the same every single night. And then for nourishment, foods that fuel rest is what you're going to be looking for. So protein, fat, even fiber, and some complex carbs are going to be great. And then dense nutrition whole food options. So less package, 5 ingredients or less, dye free.
Yep. So when parents focus on these 3, sleep gets so much easier. You don't need fancy gadgets. You honestly just need consistency and some awareness. So I have a really fun story about a client that was 5 years old, and she was really struggling with going to bed super late, being like 10, waking up at night. She would have really a tough time in the morning when her parents were trying to get her to school. And when we sat down and talked about how things were going, what I found was that they had no consistent schedule at all. So her bedtime was varying all the time. There was no consistent bedtime routine. I also was finding out that she was eating a lot of highly processed foods, primarily in front of the screen. They weren't doing family meals. And so her circadian rhythm was really honestly just all over the place at that point in time. And her parents were in a space where she was going to go to kindergarten soon, and they just needed a little bit more rhyme or reason. So I came in and I came alongside them, and we changed a few things up. First, obviously, we instituted a really beautiful bedtime routine, same steps every night. Their routines were taking like an hour and a half. We cut that down to 30 minutes. And we set a bedtime, a strict bedtime, so that she would be going to bed at the same time. We instituted the green light so that that went off at the same time every day. And then I really encouraged them to change the way they were feeding her and what they were feeding her and where they were feeding her. So all of a sudden now we were having family meals that were being cooked by mom instead of maybe picking something up. And so this little girl, when we made all of those different changes, went from just sleeping all over the board to just a beautiful rhythm and rhyme. She'd go to bed easily. Her parents would say, "Good night, love you." They would walk out. The okay to wake clock became her best friend. She was so excited to be able to make it to that green light. And she started to eat foods that she had never touched before. So we were able to just transform this little girl's life. And again, people in her life, like her teachers, or her gymnastics coach started making just comments. This little
Mm,
girl seemed so much different than she did before. So it was
yeah.
just a wonderful testimony to how working each one of these different things, when you bring them together, can really just be so transformative for a family.
Absolutely. They all are a piece of your kid's puzzle, and we need to be supported in that way. So let's bust
Yeah,
a few myths. We love busting these myths. Some
we do.
kids just don't need sleep. We would be retired. As how often as we've heard that if we charge for that phrase, because we hear it all the time. It's kind of one of those blanket phrases that people just throw out there because they don't really know, and
Mhm.
they're not sure, right? So,
Right.
they just don't need much sleep. It's very rarely true. Low sleep needs children is pretty rare, and you
Mhm.
actually can't discover if they're a low sleep needs child if they have sleep debt. So, you have to
Right.
take care of the sleep debt and then let them sleep for what they truly need in a 24-hour period to find out what their sleep needs are. So, if you
Yep.
don't have a good sleeper, you don't actually know what their needs are. Sorry, that might hurt. Almost all kids need the recommended amounts. That's why they're recommended. It just
Yep.
might not look like it at the moment. So Lindsay and I have been doing this for almost 6 years now. Yay,
Isn't that
guys.
crazy to think?
Yeah.
It
Uh,
is 6 years in next month, right?
yeah, in October
Wow.
19th. Woo.
Mhm.
So in this amount of time, I have worked with personally one low sleep needs child. Have you worked with any?
Just also one.
Yeah. And I don't believe
They're
anyone on
few
our
and far
team.
between.
Yeah, they're very few and far between. And once you get rid of that sleep debt and you look at all these three things we're talking about, the food, the rhythms, the consistency, the timing, you can find out what they need. And it's wild. Everyone else who's presented to us as some kids just don't need sleep. My kid's not a good sleeper. They don't need all those hours. Always do.
They
They
always do,
always
right?
do.
Like you said, when we get those beautiful independent sleep skills on board, we clean up the schedule, we
Mhm.
give them the right environment and opportunities, guess what? They need it all, and sometimes even more, right? Like yours.
Yep.
So another myth is that they're just gonna grow out of it, and to be honest, sometimes that's the truth, sometimes it's age related,
Yeah.
but often the sleep struggles actually just get worse without support, and
Hmm.
everybody ends up exhausted. I believe that it is 80% of
Hmm.
babies who have sleep issues will be a toddler with sleep issues. So it's almost very rarely that you will have a bad sleeper that turns into an excellent sleeper without making significant shifts.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. And finally, sleep training means leaving your child to cry it out. So, cry it out. I just want to define it really quick. Cry it out means full extinction. You leave your child, any age, any stage, in their sleep space alone for 10 to 12 hours straight. You do not return for any reason. Puking, coughing, gagging, hyperventilating. You are not allowed to return to their room for hours, 10 to 12. We don't teach that. We don't stand by it. And frankly, it's not necessary. Yes, is your child going to cry when you implement changes, you set a boundary, you change rhythms on them? Yes, because it might be their only form of communication, or
Mhm.
they are exhausted and they do want to go to bed and they're trying to signal to you the only way they know how, I'm ready for sleep. So,
Right.
science supports many gentle approaches, like the ones that we use here at Parenting Practice, and you can absolutely teach sleep while staying connected to your children. But we don't want you to think that all sleep training means you must leave your child to cry it out unattended, because it's not.
Absolutely. So, if you take just one thing from this series, it's that sleep science isn't complicated. You can use rhythm, routine, and nourishment to really set your child up for success when it comes to sleep.
And if you're listening and thinking, okay, but where do I start? That's exactly what we're here for. Book a call with us, subscribe, follow, join our community, and you're going to pick up a bunch of simplified tips and science that works for your family's exact needs.
Yes. So, thank you for joining us for our Sleep Science Simplified series. It's been a really fun one, near and dear to our heart. So, be sure to follow the podcast so you don't miss what we're covering next month. And we will see you soon. Bye.
Bye.